Do you think there's a connection between sunlight and your brain? Hi, I'm Bernice Hunt, and I am a brain health specialist. I work with women just like you who are starting to notice a few memory challenges, and I help you to stay sharp so that as you age, you can still travel, have fun with your grandkids, and experience new adventures without missing a beat. As a wellness coach for over 12 years, I spent a lot of time encouraging people to give their body what it needs and not give it things that will harm it. Did you catch my last video? My last video was about sunlight and the brain, so if you didn't catch it yet, you can still see it on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel, Keep Your Brain Sharp. Go there and you'll find it there. But today I wanted to continue talking about sunlight, specifically about sunlight's importance to your brain and also how to get it safely and effectively. I'm sure you all know that vitamin D is important and that you can get it from the sun, but you may be a little fuzzy about exactly what you need to do and why you need to do it, because it's not simply just getting out there in the sun. There's a little more to it than that. In fact, there's 42% of American adults are vitamin D deficient. They don't get enough vitamin D, and if you ask them, a lot of them are actually spending a lot of time in the sun. So it's not just about getting out in the sun, because your time that you spend in the sun does not automatically equate to vitamin D being produced in your body. Okay, so the time in the sun can also do you bodily harm. So you need to balance those two things. You want to spend time in the sun, you want to do it the right way, and you don't want it to harm you, but you do want your body to be able to produce vitamin D. Okay, here's the deal. There are certain conditions and certain precautions that you must take. You need to do, there's certain conditions you've got to do, and there's certain precautions that you have to take. Okay, so why do you want to even bother with all that though? Because you gotta have vitamin D produced in your body. The sun does not actually give you vitamin D. It just triggers, it's a catalyst, and it gets your body producing the vitamin D that you so desperately need for your body and for your brain. And since we're talking about the brain, we'll talk about specifics with regard to the brain. We're talking about vitamin D being in your brain, receptors are in your brain, and it's neuroprotective, which means it's protecting your neurons, it's protecting your nerve cells. And you know you want some protection for your nerve cells because you don't want them to be damaged. It also helps send messages, get those messages sent from your brain to other parts of your body. You know, so if things are unclear in your head, you know, brain fog, whatever, fuzzy thinking, whatever, vitamin D may be able to help with that if you get yourself out there. It also boosts your immune system. It is also enhancing your mood. If you're deficient in vitamin D, that's one of the things they find with people that have depression, low vitamin D levels. So for those reasons regarding your brain and more, you need to have your body producing vitamin D, and it's not going to produce it unless you get out in the sun the right way. Okay, so here's what you have to do to get proper, effective, safe vitamin D production out of your body. First of all, it matters how much exposure you have to your skin. Is your skin, I'm not talking about your body, I'm talking about the skin that's on your body being exposed to sunlight, okay? That matters. So we're talking about whether your skin's covered up or not. We're talking about whether you're sitting in the car because those rays don't get through the car. We're talking about whether you have sunscreen on, because I know it's controversial, but most people are still saying that sunscreen does have an effect on blocking the sun rays, the UVB rays. And so whether you're have sunscreen on or not, whether you're sitting on the patio, whether you're sitting, have a glass partition like windows or something. A lot of people think because they're in the car and they're driving in the sunlight, the rays from the sun, they can feel the heat from the sun through the window. That doesn't mean that you're getting vitamin D stimulated in your body, because the UVB rays that you need cannot penetrate through that glass. If you have that nice bay window in your office, that does not mean that you are getting vitamin D produced in your body. Okay, we have to have exposed skin that's not blocked by partitions or clothing or sunscreen or any of that. Okay, all right. And also umbrellas. You see people walking around with umbrellas. I understand the shade that, you know, face from the sun or whatever, but don't think that you're producing vitamin D, because you're not. Okay, all right, I'll get off that. The other thing is your UVB rays that come from the sun. Those are the rays that have to be exposed to your skin to trigger the vitamin D. Those UVB rays have to be present. And believe it or not, there's certain times of the day when you may or may not get UVB rays coming down and reaching your skin because of the angle of the sun. So there's certain times of day that are primed for that, and certain times of day when you can be out there for other reasons, because the sunlight has other advantages and benefits besides just vitamin D. So you could be out there for other reasons, but it's not going to be to stimulate vitamin D, not at that time of day. Okay, so the UVB rays have to be present. And the third thing is your length of time. Okay, we're talking about how many minutes you're out there. We're talking about how often you're out there, like how many days of the week that you're out there. Okay, so those are the conditions that you have to be on point with if you want to be efficient with your vitamin D production. Okay, and that leads us to the precautions, because as we said, there are precautions you have to take because sun can harm your body. Okay, and especially let's talk about the length of time you're out there. That is going to depend on your complexion, the color of your skin. If you have darker skin, you're able to be out in the sun longer than if you have pale or fair skin, and all of you guys know that. So we're talking 5 to 30 minutes. There's a range there that you need to find out where you fit in. Okay, because you don't want to burn your skin, you don't want to get skin cancer, you don't want to have macular degeneration with your eyes later in life. You don't want any of that to happen. Wrinkles, I know you don't want to have no wrinkles. Okay, so you want to know what that length of time is, where time you're allotted in regards to your skin complexion, and also other sensitivities you might have, or even medications, certain medical conditions. You may not be able to spend a lot of time in the sun, so you need to talk with your doctor regarding that as well, if that applies to you, so that he can recommend, you know, whether you stay in the sun or you don't, if you're on the 5-minute time or not, or whatever. So get with your doctor if you have conditions or sensitivities or things like that. Now, there is the practice test that you can do. The practice test has to do with, you know, just checking and seeing where you are. You go out there, you on the lower end, let's on the 5 or 10 minute end of it, depending on the color of your skin, and you start on the low end, and then the next 24 hours you check and see if there's any sensitivities and irritations in your skin, see if there's any changes in your skin that's suggesting that you spent too long of a time out there. If not, then you may want to tweak it up a little bit higher, increase the length of time a little bit depending on the color of your skin, because usually dark complected people are taking about 15 or 20 minutes depending on, you know, other factors, but no one is really supposed to have more than 30 minutes. All right, so we're talking about 5 to 30 minutes, and keep on tweaking it until you find out what's working for you and is not irritating or damaging your skin by the length of time you're out there. Okay, so that is a very important precaution that you need to take. Also, 1/3 of your skin should be exposed. Okay, so we're talking about 1/3 of your skin that does not have clothing on it, or doesn't have sunscreen, or it's not shaded or whatever. But we're not talking about your head and your eyes. We're not talking about your scalp or your eyes, because those are very sensitive and they need to be protected. So another precaution is, even when you're out there specifically for your vitamin D, you should have a hat on, you should have sunglasses on, okay, to protect those areas of your body. And the 1/3 needs to come from your leg, your calves, your thighs, your arms, you know, your back, your abdomen. That's plenty enough space there to give you 1/3 exposed, okay, without having to utilize your face or your head, you know, to being exposed to those rays. Okay, so wear a hat, wear sunglasses when you're out there. Another thing that we need to tell you about the clothing, okay, you're going to be out there. Once you are out there for your allotted period of time, the allocated period of time when you're out there, and whatever that is, and you stop and you're going to put sunscreen on your little body. If you plan on staying out there get some sunscreen on, or get in a shaded spot, or cover up, get under a partition or whatever, umbrella, whatever you need to do. But you don't want wet clothing. Okay, you see a lot of people out there, and they put their sunscreen on and stuff, or they get out there, and also sunscreen, you have to reapply that, once or twice during the day when you're out there. It only lasts for so many minutes, guys, and you're supposed to reapply it. Anyway, they're out there and they get their wet clothes, have their wetsuit on or whatever, and then they put on clothes or a covering over that, and that also gets wet. UVB rays can penetrate through wet clothing and also through tight fitting clothing. So you don't want to be getting your tight, grip the road stuff on, and especially not your grip the road wet stuff on, and still be out there thinking that you're protected now because you put some clothing on. Because if it's gripping the road or if it's wet, the UVB rays are still getting through. Okay, so you want to be careful with that. You don't want to overextend that time unknowingly. The other thing I want to talk about, other things. Okay, so there's other ways also. I didn't talk about the shadow test. Okay, with the shadow test, that's what has to do with the UVB rays. Okay, because midday, the scientists are telling us now that midday is the optimal time to most efficiently trigger your body to make vitamin D, because that's when you get the highest levels of UVB rays coming at you. Okay, and you don't have to be out there as long, and you get it done faster. Okay, but 10 to 12 is what they call midday, 10 to 12 noon. Of course, that little bit with your location where you live or whatever, but that's the time when the angle of the sun is at its best. Okay, 10 to 12 noon. All right. So if you're not quite sure if the UVB rays are still out there, what you can do is something called the shadow test. Now, the shadow test is when you go outside and, in the sun, and you look at your shadow, and the deal is, if your shadow is shorter than you are, it's shorter than you are tall, then you have adequate UVB rays to trigger that vitamin D and get it going. If your shadow is longer than you are tall, then you're not getting that many UVB rays penetrating. You might as well go back in and try to get another time. Okay, so and they said the peak times there is 10 to 12 noon. All right, for most people. What else did I leave out? I want to talk about other vitamin D, ways to get vitamin D, because there are other ways to get vitamin D. And actually, experts are telling us that because of most of our lifestyles, we're not getting out there appropriately for long enough or regularly enough to keep our vitamin D levels up. And so you need to take advantage more than likely of these other options, which are vitamin D rich foods and quality vitamin D supplements. Okay, now with the supplements, once again, you need to check with your doctor about the dosage, because it depends on if you're deficient or not deficient, and your medications, all this kind of stuff. You need to get tested to see what your vitamin D level is, so you know how much you should be supplementing or whatever. But foods that are rich in vitamin D, there's a selection of those, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But when you are looking at the other option, they should be backup. They should not be your primary source, if at all possible, because researchers also tell us that natural vitamin D produced by your body from sunlight is better. In a couple ways, it's better for you. One way it's better is that it lasts longer than taking it orally by eating or taking a supplement, which when I thought about that, it made sense to me, because I said, okay, because from foods and plants and animals like fatty fish and things like that, they produce their vitamin D. And so it already started, waning because they produce it. It's there. It's just like when you're growing your food from home or buying it at the store. It's been picked at the store and it's sitting there, so the nutrients are starting to wane, right? Same thing seems like would be happening with vitamin D. You're getting it from another source, so it's starting to wane. So of course, if you're making it directly yourself, it's more potent and it should last longer, because the length of time that it's there in you, is from the beginning, not having already sit somewhere for a while and then come to you. So it made sense to me. I said, you know what? That makes sense. The other reason why you should try to get natural sunlight, helping you to make your vitamin D, is because your body will automatically shut off when it has produced enough vitamin D. So you don't have to worry about overdosing or taking too much. It takes a lot to get too much, but still it's possible. And you don't have to worry about it if you're getting the majority of vitamin D from the sun. So those are two reasons why it should be your primary choice, if at all possible, to get out there at that 10 to 12 noon time, properly prepared, with your hat and your sunglasses, 1/3 of your body exposed, not sitting, blocking by partitions and things like that, so that you can get vitamin D triggered to start making it in your body yourself. All right. Hope that makes sense to you. All right. So if you would like a list of vitamin D foods, because like I told you, they said that, we're getting, our lifestyles are such that you probably need those kind of supplements either with the food or with the quality supplements. If you'd like a list of the foods, I got that for you guys. I have a handout in my research library on my website, keepyourbrainsharp.com. You can go there and find a list of vitamin D rich foods so you can see what percentage of the recommended daily amount each one is, and what there's about 20, a little over 20 of them listed for you, so you can pick and choose which ones you would have. But the point is, use that as a backup to your exposure outside, because your brain's destiny is in your hands.